everyone, and welcome to Sage Advice, a web series where we interview the wise and wonderful who have developed high levels of skills and expertise in their chosen fields. Here at Sage Advice, we believe each one teaches one. Today, I have the absolute privilege of sitting down virtually with the trained and magnificent dancer and musician, Mickela Mallozzi. Mickela, you are the heart and soul of four-time Emmy Award-winning travel dance series, Bare Feet with Mickela Mallozzi. In this series, now airing in its fifth season, you explored the cultural diversity and resilience of New York City through the healing power of dance and music. You've been known to say it, this series helps you make new friends by dancing with strangers, and you refer to yourself as the quote-unquote perpetual student. And in doing so, you've learned over 100 different styles of dance in more than 40 countries. So all that being said, thank you so much for jumping on a call with us today.
Thank you for that intro. Thank you so much, Leanna.
Yeah, absolutely. So we could jump right in.
Yeah,
Can you please walk us through a typical episode from conception to filming?
sure. So, like you said, Bare Feet is about making new friends by dancing with strangers. So from beginning to end, we usually pick a theme for the season. And for this newest season, we decided to film in New York City because we couldn't travel internationally. It was right when the world was opening up again, excuse me, from the pandemic. So we thought, let's go to and feature my home city, but also the city that was hit the hardest by the pandemic. So we first pick a theme. Season three's theme was my DNA travel. So we decided I got my DNA tested, and every destination that we featured was on my DNA map in some way. So once we decide where we're going to go, and I get to do that, I'm the executive producer. I feel very lucky that I get to make those decisions. Um, but most of the time I pick destinations based on the dances that I want to learn, the dances that I want to do, the celebrations I want to do. For example, we filmed Carnival in the Guadalupe Islands for season 4. It was a 2-part special. Um, and that's the first idea, is like, what are the dances we want to do? Who are the people we want to feature that may not have had, we haven't featured them before on our show, we haven't featured that cultural group, we haven't featured that dance. And especially now with this new season, it was, who are the voices that haven't been heard enough? And that's what really drove us for season 5 and also for season 6. All 12 episodes from those 2 seasons are filmed here in New York City. We really focused on the idea of featuring BIPOC voices, voices that aren't heard enough in media, and that we hadn't featured enough in our show. So that was really how we did that. And then once I decide who we're going to feature, where we're going to go, I reach out to my community. I was a dance teacher in New York City for years, so I reach out to my friends, the people who I've danced with, or people who I've danced with who want to recommend other people I should dance with. And what's beautiful about that, and I always do that, is I reach out to people who know me and love what I do, and then they start to introduce me to their family of whether this is their favorite restaurant that they go to, if they're they're a Cuban dance group, but they always go to this Cuban restaurant, or whatever it may be. This web of love just starts to grow. So I start to get even more connected with the rest of the city or the place that I'm going to. If we're going internationally, I usually reach out to the tourism boards to help us with that as well, because sometimes I don't have a contact there, but it's usually reaching out to my own contacts, friends, colleagues, and then building from there. And then it's this beautiful way of, we think of it as like 6 chapters in our show. We have our intro and outro, but we usually have about 6 things that we feature. About usually 4 of them are dance and music related, and the other 2 are not. So that could be food, fashion, history. And then we build this storyline based on what's the theme of the place, right? It's not just here's a place and here are the people we get to see dancing. For example, our Montreal and Quebec episode, Quebec, the region, is a very accessible place in the world. They made it very accessible for people with disabilities. And I thought, this is a really interesting theme for this place. And so we met with a professional dancer who's a quadriplegic. My sister herself has cerebral palsy. She uses a wheelchair. And so we brought her to do accessible snowmobiling, accessible dog sledding. So it's really building upon the theme and the feeling of the place through its people. I hope that answers your question. It's a very, but we think about a lot of factors when it comes into where we're going to film. It's not just, let's just go here and do something fun.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Oh,
intention behind it.
that's such a beautiful story, and I wouldn't have never known that about Quebec either. Like, that's incredible,
Yeah, it's a
and
great
you
place.
seem like such a catalyst of just like you had said, showing importance to things that aren't talked about normally. And that's just absolutely amazing. So, did you always intend for this to be a TV show, or was this something like you were consistently traveling and dancing and kind of immersing yourself in cultures and just started filming?
So before any of Bare Feet existed, I would travel for fun. And when I would travel for fun, I would travel cheaply. I was a dance teacher. And any place that I couldn't speak the local language, I used dance to connect with people. This is where the Making New Friends by Dancing with Strangers idea came from. Um, and then I just love this idea of connecting with people, and through that immersion of dance, other things happen. So I was invited into someone's home for a family meal, or you begin to build friendships through dancing with folks. So I was I, I I was doing this for fun, with and without, without the camera. And then I had an aha moment. I woke myself up in the middle of the night one night, and I was like, I saw what Bare Feet was. I could visualize what this project was. And I was like, I'm going to start a TV show, but I had no TV background, no hosting background, nothing. But I knew that this was something that I had to do. It was like my calling, because I had this really weird skill set of picking up dances very, very quickly. And I know other professional dancers that can't really do that. So it's this really strange skill set that I have. And so fast forward, I decided, I was pitching to executives and producers, and they all thought it was a great idea, but they said, you're never going to be the host. You just don't fit that, what a television host looks like. And so I said, fine, screw you. I'm going to try and do it on my own. So I used my life savings, filmed a pilot episode in my family's hometown in southern Italy. And through strange events, like my footage got held hostage by this production company for a year. So I started a blog because I thought, okay, I know I want this to be a TV show, but that's not the only reason why I'm doing this. I'm doing this to share stories of connection with the world through dance and music. So I started a blog, and I live in New York City, so every night I would go to dance events and go take dance classes and write about it for a whole year until I was waiting to get my footage back. And so was building this following with a blog. And then I started to make little YouTube videos of videos I was filming. I got my footage back and hired an editor to make little YouTube videos of that, and then would started to film more and would hire my friends or barter with friends who would hold me. And it just grew from this weird little passion project of me figuring out how to tell stories, how to be in front of the camera, how to connect with local tourism boards and create these videos, to now we're in season 5. We have 4 Emmy Awards. It's a real show. And 2 of those awards I'm super proud of. I won for Best Host. So I dedicated that 4th Emmy, the second one that I won for Best Host, to the producers that said, you're never going to be the host of your own show. It was kind of like an FU to them in
Absolutely.
in a really positive way. Like, that kind of was fuel for the fire of like, I can prove to these people that they were wrong,
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. And that skill set is your superpower,
right,
like,
right.
and just everything that makes you you. Of course, why wouldn't you be the host of this?
Right. I mean, but there's, I learned how to actually host a show. It was the easy part is me learning the dances and making these connections with people. And what's funny is I've met other hosts, and I think it's vice versa, because as a trained host, I'm not trained. So I'm breaking the rules all the time. I'm always breaking the fourth wall. I'm very vulnerable on camera. I'm always crying, or I'm throwing up on the side of the boat because I'm seasick. And, usually travel hosts don't want to show that. They don't want to show that vulnerability, but we found that our audiences feel really connected to that. They feel like, wow, she's a real person. I mean, what you see on camera in the show is what you get when you watch, when you meet me. So I think that's been actually, it worked well for me, that I didn't know what the rules were, and I just kind of went with it. Yeah, it's been really fun. It's been really fun.
That's awesome. So, what is the most impactful thing you believe dance has taught you about culture?
But it's taught me that we're all the same, right? Like, no matter how different we look, different languages, different skin color, different religion, how we dress, how we speak, everything. We all need the same things. You need food, shelter, water, love, companionship, family, and a little bit of dance and music to get through the day. I mean, in every single culture, there is a form of communication through dance and music. People use dance and music for joy, to express sorrow, mourning, to express community, like getting together, gathering. They use dance and music when working, like to get through the day so they can just get through their job of like putting food on the table or farming or I mean dance and music has been part of human evolution from the very beginning. So it is this like this line that's like connected us, right? And it's evolved. So I get to see when I travel of all these influences that certain styles of dance have migrated with people and immigrated with people and grown and evolved with people over generations and generations of these traditions being passed around. And so, yeah, it reminds me that we're all the same. Like we're really not that different. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful reminder. And it's fun. You know, there's so much kindness and joy in the world. There's a lot going on in the world now that you forget that or you lose sight of that. And so I hope our show reminds people of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That like at the end of the day, we're all the same and we're all
Yeah,
going
yeah,
through it. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. So, like you had kind of said, you discovered your family's heritage in southern Italy.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, so I had known I am also very lucky that both my parents are from the same little small town in southern Italy, and I can trace my family's roots back there for generations. Um, so I've always known where my family came from, and not a lot of people can say that. I've always known where my family came from. My parents, both of them immigrated to the United States in the 60s, so they've maintained their dialect very strongly in our household, the food traditions, the dance traditions, the music, all of these things. And we would be able to go back and visit my grandparents. I grew up with my grandparents in Italy, living in a little farmhouse. So every Sunday I'd talk to them on the phone. That's how I grew up with my grandparents. So when I decided to make the first episode of Bare Feet, it was a natural choice because I knew the language. I had grown up doing the dances, but I had never done it with the original group in my family's hometown. And it was exotic enough that I'm going somewhere internationally that I thought this would be a great story to film. I was able to save some money because my crew and I hired friends, but we stayed in my family's little farmhouse. It's a 4-room house. It's tiny. My grandmother cooked us food every day, and so my friends who were my crew got to meet my family and got to see where my parents grew up, where I spent some summers, where I feel very connected to this place. Half the town's last name is Mallozzi, so like I'm related to half of them. And I feel like if I did that episode now, it'd be a very different episode because not only this was the very first Bare Feet episode, so I was trying to explain to everybody, this is my vision. I didn't have an example to show. There was no other show like Bare Feet before. So it was really hard to say, like, look, I want to dance with you. The group almost didn't let me dance with them because they thought, oh, you're not going to pick it up in time, Mickela. Like, it's just too hard, or, we've been doing this, you're not going to get it. I'm like, no, just let me try. And, but I think if I did the episode now, I've been thinking about like revisiting, going back to the town, is because I also didn't know I'd never been in front of the camera before.
Mhm.
So half of the process was figuring out what is this show? What is this show? And then
Yeah.
also, how do I speak in front of the camera? And I feel like if I go back, I would really be able to immerse myself even more fully of like digging deeper into these stories. And I think we did a pretty good job, but I feel like I'd be able to relax a little more and enjoy the moment a little bit more. It was so overwhelming because it was so much information of being a producer, a host, organizing, making sure my crew was okay. Nobody else spoke Italian, so I was translating. It was a lot for my very, very, very first shoot, but it was this beautiful way of connecting with my culture. Fast forward to season 3, it was before DNA travel became a thing, and people connected with that story of me going back to my roots, but also if they were affiliated with some sort of cultural group that we had featured in a previous episode, I realized there's an affinity towards finding your roots. I already knew where I came from, so let me get my DNA tested because no one's 100% anything, right? So I got my DNA tested and it was like little 2% here, 1% here, 3% here. And I thought this would be a really interesting way of feeling connected to a place. I wasn't looking for living relatives, but at the same time, it was very emotional for me, very transformative for me because one of the places that I felt the most connected to was Morocco. You know, in North Africa, a Muslim country, so many people looked like my father's side of the family. It was unbelievable. And so, you know, it was a really beautiful journey that I was able to share with our audiences. I know a lot of people, I get very emotional in these episodes and people feel that emotion with me. It's really wonderful. But that was wonderful. Again, I wasn't looking for living relatives because they're all in Italy, pretty much. But yeah, it was a really special way to travel. I'd highly recommend it for anyone, whatever part of that DNA journey or genetic heritage, heritage journey you're looking at, to find living relatives or just to for me to be able to dance on the land that somewhere someone in my past may have been or come from was really special.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. 100%. And when you say DNA traveling, so you just took a DNA test and went to hit all the points on a map? Like,
Yeah, yeah. So I literally got my DNA tested and saw the regions that were highlighted. And then I thought, which are the dances that I want to do, right? Again, I get to choose. So,
yeah.
for example, Georgia and Armenia came up, the Republic of Georgia and Armenia came up on the map. And I'm a huge fan of Sukashvili Georgian National Ballet. If you look them up, I think they went viral recently on Instagram and TikTok. They're an incredible dance group. I've seen them perform here in New York City, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is my opportunity to dance with them if I can, if we can make it happen, and we did. And Georgia's supposed to be beautiful, and it is. It's gorgeous. The people are wonderful, and same thing with like Romania. And I'd never done flamenco before, and I always wanted to go to Spain, and this was a perfect reason to dance flamenco in Spain. Um, Puglia, what's beautiful is we always try to feature destinations in each season that we hadn't touched upon before. So we had done a little Greece episode already. We had already done an episode in Turkey, and there was a significant amount of my DNA from Turkey and Greece. But I thought, okay, how can we incorporate these things while still highlighting a different culture? And so we went to Cyprus because Cyprus was on the map as well, but that was beautiful. And then we did go to Puglia, Italy. It was the heel of the boot. Like I couldn't do a DNA episode without going back to Italy. But the beautiful thing about Puglia is it has a huge influence from Turkey, from North Africa. It's sort of this mishmash of influence in Italy. And there's a dance and music group from Puglia, il Canzoniere Grecanico Salentino. They do the pizzica dance. And I've been friends with them for years because I was a fan of theirs and just we became friends over the years. And I thought this is, again, another perfect opportunity to feature these people that I love, these people that I feel so closely connected with. And yeah, it was amazing. But so we really try to, like, I don't think I'll be able to go back to Spain to do more episodes for a little while because we've already done 3. We did one in Girona, Spain, which is northern Spain, and then 2 in Andalusia. We did one in Sevilla and one in Utrera, which is like for the Potaje Gitano Festival, which is like a gypsy festival, Romani festival. And it was fabulous, just wonderful, wonderful.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing.
It's fun.
So you have a speaking event coming up titled The Silk Road at the Smithsonian. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Are you so excited?
Yeah, so I'm doing these virtual events to talk about the journey of dance, right? From, again, I'm not the expert in all of these dances, but I call myself the perpetual student. And the things that I've learned along the way of the dance history, the people, and, the journey, like I said, I get to see how dance has evolved over generations by literally going through these paths and destinations of where dance comes from. So we're going to be talking about the evolution of dance coming from the East, going through the Silk Road, through Uzbekistan. We went to Samarkand, we went to Bukhara, and all these cities along the Silk Road, and it ending up in the West, in Rome, basically, and talking about that journey, what the dances and styles that have been really influenced. I mean, that could be a whole series of talks, so it's going to be a very truncated version. But we have, 3 different talks coming up with the Smithsonian, and I'm honored to be part of that organization and be speaking about this. But it's really, what I do is fun, but it's also, we're on PBS, it's educational, it's informational. And there's a lot to learn just from the dances that you get to see and experience. It tells a lot about a people. It tells a lot about what the people have gone through. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get to be the person sharing those stories and
Yeah,
casting that culture.
yeah.
100%. I love that. So, because you travel so much, you are also the co-founder and director of Women's Travel Fest. What made you want to start a conference all about women in travel?
Well, I have to say, I have to give most of the credit to the main founder, Kelly Lewis. She and I have been friends for years, but we met at this travel event and we were talking about how wouldn't it be great, this was over 10 years ago now, wouldn't it be great if there was a travel conference just for women? And there must be one, right? We were like, there must be a travel conference just for women. And we looked it up and there wasn't any. And we said, you know what, let's start it. So this was really Kelly's brainchild. She started Go Girl Guides. She now has a company called Damesley, which is a tour company just for women. Um, but she and we had one more co-founder who's left since then, but we were like, we want to offer a platform that empowers, inspires, and connects women through travel, because there are people who may feel, and at the time, again, this was 2013 we started this, I think, there weren't a lot of resources for women in the travel industry. Ironically, at the time and still today, like 85% of all travel decisions are made by women, right? Whether that's the wife booking the family travel trip, or usually it was a woman who was the assistant to someone booking a trip for business, or, women are making 85% of travel decisions, which is incredible, but there were no resources. So we did that. And Kelly has really taken it off. At the time when we started that project, Bare Feet was just pretty much starting out, and we've both really grown in our own paths. I've stepped back a little bit. I still attend every year. I've spoken almost every year, but it's coming up in March. We always have it around International Women's Day, and it'll be back in New York for this year. But it's a beautiful celebration of connection, of you can be a newbie, you can want to travel, you could be a seasoned traveler. It's a great 2 days of connecting with like-minded women, learning information about what to do when traveling, but also if you want to be if you want to be a blogger or a tour operator, there's also workshops for like the professional side of travel. It's really, really, really wonderful weekend.
That's incredible. And the fact that you started something and, obviously you and your co-founder started something from the ground up, specifically tailoring that need to women, I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. We were
Yeah.
really surprised it didn't exist. It was crazy.
Yeah, especially in 2013. It's not that long ago, but
Yeah, yeah,
still.
yeah. Let's get with it. But so we did it.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you have any advice for people who want to travel and explore other cultures?
Of course, do it. Just do it. Do it. I was just having this conversation with a friend last night. Um, I have to say, when I travel alone, it's my favorite. It's my favorite. Obviously, traveling safely. It's
Yeah.
my favorite because if I want to make a right turn instead of a left today, I can. And I feel very privileged and lucky enough that I started traveling fairly young, where I worked out those kinks of feeling uncomfortable and feeling a little scared and feeling uneasy about things in a good way. Not like this feels dangerous to me. It's more of like, I'm by myself. And at the time when I started traveling, there was no such thing as a smartphone. There was no such thing as Google Maps,
Yeah.
or Foursquare or any of these things to find things to do. You had to talk to people. And so that's what I do is when I go to places, I talk to people, I talk to locals, and I dance with them and I make friends with them. But travel doesn't have to be like I'm going to book that $10,000 trip that's going to take me to the other side of the world, and it's a month-long trip. No, because that's not usually possible for most people. I couldn't even do that. Um, so travel can be something very simple, like going out in your own neighborhood or another neighborhood in your own city, or doing a day trip, or doing a little bit of a weekend trip somewhere else that's different from where you are. And I think the important thing is there's a lot of ideas of what travel looks like because of social media. And that's getting the perfect shot and maybe doing like a photo shoot. But what you need to do is talk to the people of where you're going. You need to connect with people. That's what makes the place so special. Whenever you take a trip, your fondest memories are the crazy characters you meet along the way, right? That crazy cab driver, or the people next to you at the bar, or the family that was sitting next to you at the restaurant and they were so fun. And like those are the stories you remember. You don't remember, yeah, that's a shot of the Eiffel Tower. Yes, that's a shot of the Colosseum. Yes, that's a shot of the pyramids. Yeah, everybody has that. Well, not everybody, but when you go there, everybody gets those same pictures. It's
Yeah.
the people you meet that makes those experiences so much more, so much deeper. Like those memories last forever. So just go explore the world. um, do it safely, especially everything with climate change happening. Be very conscious of um, offsetting your carbon footprint, maybe doing volunteering in a place to help with garbage cleanup. I don't know, there's a way to travel, um, like more consciously, and helping to make sure that your money is going into the local economy versus going to these huge big brands, and we're making it worse. There's a very um, responsible way to still travel. But to me, I think you need to remember the word travel comes from the word travail in French, which means to work,
Yeah.
right? Travel shouldn't be easy.
Yeah.
It's never been meant to be easy. It means to work. It comes from the word to work. So it is going to feel like a little bit of work, but in the end, you've built all these beautiful memories. So I always tell people that it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be fun, but you are always going to remember it. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, I love work exchanges too, or doing work away. I've only had the opportunity to do it once, but it was a life-changing kind
Yeah,
of trip for me. In that I just realized like the way travel tests your brain and puts you in an environment and makes you uncomfortable in the best possible way. It's truly what like builds character, especially when you're in such stagnant energy at home, or you're feeling stuck in any way, shape, or form. I feel like traveling and moving and physically altering that energy is so important and so
totally.
interesting.
Totally. And what's good is once you start building that muscle of getting a little more adventurous when you're abroad or when you're traveling, you start to bring that back home and have that same adventurous side or outgoing side when you're home. And why not? Like bring it with you wherever you go.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So, since we're talking about advice, can you give us advice for someone who hopes to have their own TV show or do something similar to what you did?
Yeah. Oh, that's a big one. Um, I give a lot of talks on entrepreneurship, building a passion project, storytelling. I always say there's like three P's: passion, persistence, and patience. You really have to love what you are pursuing. If this is a passion project, if you want to travel and dance around the world, please do it. The more, the better. I want more people to see the world in this way. Or if you want to create a TV show or a YouTube channel or whatever that is, Instagram, account where you're telling these short form stories, TikTok, whatever it may be, podcast, you have to really care about it. It can't be something that is fleeting. Oh, this is a hot topic right now, so let me jump on that because the SEO is great and people will search for it. Because in a few months or in 6 months, whatever's the next hot trend will come, and then you'll get bored because if you really don't care about it. So passion is number one. Because think about this, when I started Bare Feet, it was 12 years ago. It has taken me 12 years to get to this point. It hasn't been easy. But if I didn't eat, sleep, and breathe, the idea of connecting with the world through dance and music, I would have given up a long time ago. And I was doing this again before the camera's rolling. Persistence. You have to keep, they say it's about, what is it, 1% of all outreach you'll get a yes. So that means that you have to make, out of 100 asks, you have to make 100 asks to get one yes, because 99 of them will be a no, and then one of them will be a yes. That's just numbers, it's statistics. So you have to have the energy and the thick skin for someone to tell you no over and over and over and over again, because at some point someone's going to tell you yes. And I think, if someone tells you no, it's not because it's personal, it's not because they don't like you, has nothing to do with you. It means maybe it doesn't fit with their budget. Maybe it doesn't fit with what's happening at the time. You really have to just take it as this very objective response. It is nothing, it has nothing to do with you as a person. It doesn't mean you're a bad person. Because if I was crying and gave up every time someone said no, I'd be done 12 years ago. It would have been over. And then patience. Like I said, it's been 12 years. When I was pitching for the show and I kept getting no, 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 and then I thought, okay, I'm just going to invest my own money and shoot a pilot. And we did that, and then the footage got held hostage. I had to wait a year to get it back. And, it takes time. People want, who says this? Amy Schumer. She always calls herself, she's like, I'm a 7-year overnight success, because she hustled. She would go clubbing, she would do the stand-up comedy and get in a car and just drive across country and do show after show after show after show. And then all of a sudden, she's on everyone's radar, and she's like, yeah, that was 7 years, maybe longer, maybe it was 11 years of her doing this. And there's no such thing as an overnight success. Even if you go viral, at some point you go viral and it just drops. So there is this patience of time. You need time. And those are the three things, find something you love and something that you really care about, something you're good at that is outside of actually creating the content. When I say, we were saying the superpower, right? My superpower is I can connect with people through dance and music immediately. I don't know how I can do it, but that's my superpower. Yeah. But I didn't know how to host a show. I didn't know how to film. I didn't know how to talk on camera. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know how to do those things, but guess what? I learned how to do those things. I took courses. I surrounded myself by people who did that. I would work with people and I learned from them. Just because you don't know how to do it now doesn't mean you'll never learn how to do it. That's up to you. But find something you're really good at outside of that and then work from that. If you want to make a podcast, but you don't know how to record, and learn. YouTube is a great resource. You can learn anything on YouTube. So, you really have to invest your own time and money, a lot of your own time and money into this. But if you really, really care about it, you have that passion for it, it's 100% worth it.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And so,
Oh,
you
wait,
said,
I forgot to mention. So during COVID, during lockdown, because I'm an independent producer through public television, yeah. We're all independent producers, and public television is a really interesting system outside of cable and network television. I had always wanted to start an association for independent producers so that there's access to how do you get your show on PBS. If you go to ipapublicmedia.com, IPA, Independent Producers Association, ipapublicmedia.com, it's a step-by-step of this is what you need to do. There's free webinars, resources, and it can give you an idea if you're a filmmaker, independent producer, if you have an idea for a TV show and you really want to get it off the ground on your own, where you have to find the funding, distribute it through PBS. It's a great resource, and we've had so many young producers. PBS needs young, fresh faces come through there, and they have gotten their shows on public television. So ipapublicmedia.com.
Oh, thank you so much for that. That's awesome. And it'll really give you a step-by-step. Wow.
It'll give you the overview of what it takes to really do that. It's a lot of information, so really use it.
Yeah, no, you make an incredible point though, too. Everything is right at your fingertips. The internet is our greatest resource,
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, well, thank you. I think that's all my questions. So thank you so much, Mickela. I really appreciate you coming on and taking the time. This has been really incredible, and I love everything that you had to say.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. So season 5 now airing on PBS and is also can find it on the app or pbs.org. Season 6 will be airing in March,
Mhm.
correct? And do you have anything else you want to shout out or give attention to?
Yeah, if
Any
you want to
project?
find us, I always do live events. We're doing our Smithsonian talks. We're doing a talk with a Rhodes Scholar. You can go to travelbarefeet.com or follow us on social media at travelbarefeet. Um, you'll see bonus content. I love doing live events. I love meeting fans. I love dancing with people, and it's just really, really fun. So travelbarefeet.com.
Com. Well, awesome. Thank you so much again, Michaela. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yep.